All right, let's get started. We're already 7 minutes in, and we want to take some time. Before we get too into it, I wanted to mention two things just as a status, because we're not going to go through our status today. One, apparently we uncovered a bug in our card provider system, and they are scrambling to fix it, hopefully by tomorrow. So they're telling us that by tomorrow they're going to have a fix that will allow us to issue credit cards. So big thanks to everyone who helped us figure this out. Droz for user testing, Tom, of course, for his help, and Thinker and myself as we are chatting with Transcard and making it happen. So hopefully the bug will be fixed tomorrow and we can start issuing cards. And because they've been so late, I was bugging them to open up a lower tier for us. So I've said a couple times we need 1,000 people spending $1,000 a month to start making revenue. Well, now we can start getting revenue on with the first user. So it doesn't even have to be 1,000 users anymore. It's not that much revenue, and I can't say exactly what the revenue are in this public setting, but it is enough revenues that if we're making, if we are getting even 500 users, it will be enough to pay for our services, like our software as a software as a service services, and it unlocks some new communities for us as well, including potentially Opolis and ETH Denver. So that is really good news because those groups needed a little bit of revenue, even if not a lot. So we did unlock revenue with our card provider starting from user 1. So we'll see how it goes, but that's some great news. Anyways, let's get into the retrospective. It's been a while since we did our last one. It was in May 2023. That was when we were unsure. We were kind of leaning towards it, but we didn't have all the pieces in place to actually create a proof of concept. And since then, I think it was in about September or October, we decided, hey, we're going to do a proof of concept, and this is we were just heads down doing that. And so this brings us to this is kind of like our post proof of concept retrospective. Just as a reminder to everyone, because probably everyone hasn't been to a retrospective before, but it's just a tool. A retrospective is a tool to help us continually improve. The intent of our time here right now is really to reflect on the time between now and our last retrospective, so that was in May, and identify our opportunities for growth. We're going to talk about our goals, things that went well, things that didn't go well, and we're going to have some questions and ways to improve. To get the most out of this, be honest and open. Don't feel shy. If you have something to say, you may as well say it. Chances are, if you are feeling it, someone else is feeling it as well, okay? So all of your perspectives are valuable. It takes all of us to build this thing. So if you notice something, it's really valuable for the entire team. Also, let's try to reserve judgment. So really try to listen and resist the urge to talk about solutions in response to problems. We will get to solutions or potential solutions, but this is really a place for us to surface some of our issues. And so really let's try to listen as much as we can. Honestly, this is a problem for me more than anyone else, but I will do my best. On the alignment side, this space is really just for us to get on the same page. So I'm going to, first, I've shown this in the last two retrospectives where we are. Validation, we were in this phase for a while. We were in this phase for something like 1.5 years. Build for launch, pretty much since September, October, and we're almost at the end of this phase. So probably by Thursday, we're going to be in the build for fit phase. So build for launch phase is let's get something out there. Build for fit phase is let's get to a place where our product is something that people want to use and like using. And by adding more people onto our product, we understand how much it costs to get new people. And we are making enough to sustainably run our team. So this build for fit phase, this is the fun part. It's about to be, there's that saying, at least sometimes people say fun time is over. For me, fun time is just about to begin, because the build for fit phase is when we'll actually be having actual users, and it can be frustrating at times, but as long as we are doing it together, it's going to be really, really fun. So I'm really excited for the next phase. So we're very close. Hopefully by tomorrow, let's move this forward a few notches. We'll be in the build for fit. our top level metrics from last season, actually since May, we have 468 more pre-launch emails. So if we go May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, so that is over 8 months. So 458 divided by 8 is like something like 57 emails a month. We raised 21,000 plus we got an OP grant. We don't know how much we're going to get for that. We also have the ability to issue cards in the US, and this is massive, massive, massive. This is something that no one thought we could do, and we figured out how to do it. So that, I think, is probably one of our biggest ones. We have a partnership with Nouns, one of the premier DAOs in the space, and one of the ones that really aligns with what we're trying to build. So pretty exciting. And we have 81% completion of the alpha app, so we're very close to releasing it. Themes from the last retro, we ship. We built a lot last retro. One of the things that was on the Delta side was that we shipped, but we weren't necessarily realizing the value of our efforts. So we enjoyed building Taxman, but we haven't realized the value of it yet. I would say that we did get some value out of it, through the OP grant, but even more value would be if people were able to use it. And I'm hoping that through the OP grant, we can get even more value out of Taxman by actually paying for some of the software services that we need to make it really good for lots of people. We had more frequent and interesting communication on social and email, but it's really hard to market a pre-launch product. Another thing related to this, we need more consistent content, especially long form, and we need more two-way communication with our audience. So not just us communicating to them, but them communicating back to us. We attract good contributors on the plus side, but we have some work to do on onboarding. We had some deltas around privacy and security of our assets, which is another thing that was brought up in the last sprint as well. And how can we better leverage our partnerships to get users and these kinds of things? So before we get into it a little bit further, let's go around and ask, do you think Bankless Card will work? This is something that we ask at every retrospective. So let's give it a go. Why don't we start with Arkusti?
So you mean do you think it's going to work, or?
Yeah, do you think it's going to work? Do you still believe in the concept, the idea, the problem that we're solving?
Yes. That's why I'm showing up.
All right. And what about you, Andy? Andy, you're muted. He's scrambling for that mute button. All right, why don't we go over to NF Thinker and we'll come back to you, Andy. NF Thinker, do you think Bankless Card will work?
Hell yes, I think it's going to work. I mean, we've been putting a lot of time into it. It seems like it feels like we have been treading through molasses on this trip, but we've learned a lot. We've managed to wind our way into an industry which is notoriously closed door. We have made a lot of connections on both the technical side and on the client-facing side, on the community side, and we're nearly there. We are approaching the summit, and I feel like once we summit this mountain, we'll see the next challenge, and we can then go full steam ahead to that challenge next. So yes, I do think it's going to work, and I'm excited to get it into the wild.
Nice. And how about you, Andy?
I think it's definitely going to work because there's been a lot of interest from people, a lot of energy put into this project from like U-Links and NF Thinker and other people that have been working to it a bit closer than I have. I think it's going to raise a lot of interest in the crypto world, and I just think it's such a, I don't know how unique, but for me it's a unique, project that I think I can't imagine it not catching some eyes and not having some momentum in the crypto world. So I think it's going to go great, go good, but but that's just my hopes. I hope they're going to be a reality where it works out. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for that. Winburst, how do you feel? Do you think Bankless Card is going to work if you're able to speak?
Hey, can everyone hear me now?
Yeah, I can't really hear you though. Maybe you can type it, and I'll take it and put it in the notes. Ghost, how about you? Do you think Bankless Card's gonna work?
Well, hell yeah. I did get a sip of coffee, so and I do have just a tiny bit of caffeine coursing through my veins. I tend to be an eternal optimist despite the Moloch continuing to thwart me in my personal life, and as well as all of us here at Bankless DAO and in this space. But I still think, and I've said this before, that it is of all the projects that we've been working on at Bankless DAO and all the things that have spun out from it, and I still think it's the most promising thing out there that we're doing, and has the most promise for success. I really do. The other one being Bankless Academy. Those are really the two standout projects, and seeing that we're getting real funding from optimism, I think speaks well to that. My biggest concern, of course, is the elephant in the room that everybody knows, and that's the branding issue. But it's early, it's proof of concept, and that to me that's not a big deal because it's supposed to be headless anyway. And we're starting out already with Nouns being one of our launch partners. So Bankless DAO is just one of them. And so if the core brand isn't Bankless DAO, so what? Anyway, that's what I have to say.
All right, thanks, Jost. And how about you, Rainus?
I can state what I always state in every retrospective, I think, is that, like my answer to the question, will Bankless Card work, is that it has to work because I need it. Binance recently closed their Binance cards. Now I'm on a Coinbase card, but I want my Bankless card to do my daily buying of stuff in the store. So I need it to work. It's not a question of will it, won't it. It has to work, at least for me. That will be my answer to this question. Overall, on the concept, what has captivated me most during all of this development is the part of this idea that we're building, is that eventually it can be a one-stop shop for communities to set up their tokens and be able to fund themselves. Because I also need that part for like a few of my projects that I'm involved in, and I see it as a how would you say? I see that part of this project solving a lot of people's issues on funding, where where communities want to fund themselves to reach some kind of idea that they're building themselves. And so we are inevitably that bridge to enable any, and by communities I'm meaning people, like communities that are not even in crypto. They don't have to know it's crypto just to set up their own token and give out cards to their members.
One thing Anna Finger and I often say to people is that, when crypto is going to become mainstream, when people don't even know that they're using crypto, they're just getting the benefits. So what you're describing, I think, is that world where, yes, these tokens are being awarded to you for your spending, and they're just like points. They're just you don't even know what they are. They're like credit card points, and you don't care about the underlying technology. When a bank or a credit card gives you points right now, you're not like, are you hosting these on AWS? You're just like, oh, sweet, points, right? So I think that is a very pertinent point, Rainus. I appreciate you for bringing that up. Tom, how are you feeling about Bankless Card? Do you think it's going to work?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I've been having a bit of a day with the network here today, so I'm glad that I was able to get through. So I think I always take this question in terms of from a technical standpoint, thinking about the pieces that need to be built to be put in place for it to work. And I think that definitely these last few months, working closely with Lynx and with the vendors that we have involved, I definitely think that it can work. I know that technically. There are some pieces that still we need to plug up, and we need to obviously be continuously improving everything that we have to build in order to make things as good as it can possibly be. But I know that we can get there, and I know that we can build it, and we can make it great, and therefore it will work.
Awesome. And you probably already know what I'm going to say, but I absolutely think Bankless Card can work. There are times in the past year where it wasn't as clear, but it's becoming more and more clear every day. It's like an archaeologist uncovering some sort of like Tyrannosaurus skeleton, and the closer you get, the more you realize what that skeleton is. And that is what we're going to be producing, is the bones of something, the skeleton of something upon which we can build the body. So I definitely think it can work. And the work that we have done makes it more and more clear. All right, now down to the retrospective. Here's where we're going to reflect on the previous season. I just want to make sure that everyone at least tries to contribute something. So I'm going to be calling out to each of you as we go. So in case you don't know, pluses are things that went well, and delta are things that we could improve. Delta is a little holdover from my engineering days. Delta is a change, so it is something that can be improved, something that can be changed, and you can add stuff as you wish. But we'll go around the room. Coffee Crusher really filled this thing up, so let's take a look at some of hers. Strong on the pluses. Strong support from core contributors. Feel free to plus one any of these as I'm going as well. I'll read them a little bit slowly if you want to plus one any of them. Love the video content from the comms team. I mean, I'm going to plus one all of these, so you can just... Very strong BCard team, the right team for the project and launch. This is something I think is worth touching on a little bit, in that I wouldn't say that we, as we were going through the validation phase, I wouldn't say that we had everyone that we needed at all times. I mean, in the early days, we were missing a designer. In the middle days, I think we were missing some development effort and other kinds of expertise in the card issuing space. So definitely the right team for the project and launch. Strong partnerships developed by NF Thinker, always great new partners. Please, more behind this scenes video roles at in real life events. This seems like a delta, but I think that she's saying that she enjoyed the behind the scenes videos and she wants more of them. So things that we could do more of those. Tech team worked extra hard to get the POC ready for our tight deadline. We found a viable partner for card issuing in US, which is through one of our contributors that we attracted through Bankless DAO. So that was really great. Lynx has been fantastic at driving constant communication and collaboration, both internally and with card issuing partners. Well, thank you very much. We've been consistent with the main team weekly meetings, comms meetings, and ops. Absolutely, consistency is key when you're looking at an asynchronous organization like us, and feedback at in real life events have been very positive. People want Bankless Card, even if they don't know exactly what it does. And maybe that's a delta, is that we could do a little bit better on that front. So some things that can be improved, more formalized process for contributors and one-off bounties. Yeah, so I guess like on the delta side, I always want to dig deeper into these. So maybe I'll ask Coffee Crusher when we get a little deeper. But has anyone else felt this way, that we need more formalized process for contributors?
Yes. Yeah. It's hard to enable that when we don't have a lot of clarity around the things that are meant to be done. We seem to be finding our way all of the times. So when we do get somebody in, let's say, for example, a year and a half ago, I spoke to this lady who was she was the compliance lead for Revolut, right? I'm not sure if she was the lead or not. She's definitely on the team for compliance for Revolut. She was excited to get started and to help with us. We didn't have anything for her, so she left, and maybe we can get back in touch with her, but it's hard to put somebody into place when we don't know the places to put them in, and it's hard to find the right people for the jobs when we need them, because things don't happen linearly, right? It's like we tried to design the app before we knew all the things that we needed for the app to do. We didn't have a clear product roadmap, so it's very difficult to design an app around something that you're not sure what it's going to actually do yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else wanna share something on this?
I could add something with from my experience with Lawrence. He's someone who always wants to do something but doesn't deliver the quality that we might require for him to do a lot of stuff. And so I haven't been able. He always asks me for stuff to do, but I haven't been able to give him anything to do besides writing articles at the moment. But in this situation arises a question of how we organize and how we delegate tasks. I think our organization is very initiative based. So that the people who actually do stuff take up their own initiative and try to see what could be needed to be done. And this is where like the people in this call are those type of people who understand that we are in the Wild West and understand that we are building something very unorthodox, and they know that like okay, we have certain goals to reach, but to reach those goals we don't know the specific tasks, so we try to find out ourselves what is there that needs to be done, and then we do it, and there comes probably a disconnect for us as people who just look for things that need to be done and do them when somebody asks what can I do, because we are used to searching for problems that we can do ourselves and then doing them ourselves. So we're not used to searching for problems to give for other people to solve, and why the I don't know how to put this, to delegate authority, to delegate tasks, like we trust each other in this organization to fill the tasks that they have taken responsibility on, because we know that these are people who can find problems and can solve them, but people who want to join our organization but are the type of people that need to be given tasks to do cannot excel here, because we are the type of people who just find stuff and do it ourselves. So that's this. I don't know if it's a problem. I myself more enjoy working with initiative-based people than non-initiative-based people, but this is where the contributor disconnect would be coming from, is that our organization is an initiative-based organization, and we don't very much delegate tasks because we rather do it ourselves because it's way faster and more efficient. And so those people that can hold on in this organization are those type of people.
Yeah, and I think that like it's also like it goes to the phase that we are in our organization. You know, we're pre-launch. We don't have revenue. Everyone's working part-time on this. It's like if I have 10 hours a week to work on Bankless Card, for me to spend 5 of those hours going through something with someone else, it really just takes away a lot of the time I could do. If I had more time, maybe I would be able to sit with someone and teach them. But as we get a little bit more stable of an organization, this is something we'll have to think about more. But yeah, I think it's also like part of the phase that we're working in, and also the environment that we're working in, where contributors come in and out at their own will, right? And so if a new contributor comes in and they're super gung-ho and I spend like 2 hours with them and then they just disappear the next week, that's 2 hours I wasted. And so my initial feeling is always, okay, here's a small task. Do the small task and we'll see how you do. And if they keep showing up, if they keep producing those small tasks, if they keep getting more and more, I'm more willing to spend time with them. I'm more willing to spend my time on them because I have more certainty that they're going to be around. So definitely think that we could make this better as we go. And I also think that the way that we are right now is, I wouldn't say it's inevitable or it's good, but it's not a bad thing necessarily either right now. Additional content video themes, different types of educational branding and engagement based on where customers are, and more of a process for long-form content, more consistent with supporter emails. These are all kind of related in a way. It really has to do with our content. And I think that we've definitely gotten more content out, and I think it's less consistent, our content, than our internal operations. And so I'll plus one, or at least I'll say in this thing in here, consistency in content in general. More consistency in content in general would help us engage our audience. Anyone?
I can speak on content because it's kind of mine and Andy's forte. We definitely want to create more content, and we want to be consistent with content. Our main blocker that I have talked with Links about is that we are not able to do this full time. We have to worry about other projects to help us live in today's world. If once we get funding and we are able to go full time, content creation is a breeze. Like we eat and breathe that stuff with Andy, so we'll be able to give more consistency. It's just our time management at this moment is not in the best place because we have many projects going on to help us be part-time.
Absolutely. So onboarding, how contributors contribute. This is something that we mentioned. Co-marketing at social and in real life events, pony onto larger partner events, podcasts, in real life events, hackathons. I think having a live product will help with this too. Aggressive timeline for POC launch was not achievable. Now, I don't know if I agree with this because I do think it was achievable. It just ended up that I personally feel like our partner dropped the ball. It's true that we could have got, we on the product side got a little bit bogged down as well. We weren't ready for mid-November, but I think by early December we were kind of ready to release something. But anyways, it was definitely an aggressive timeline for the POC. Unachievable? I don't know about that. But anyways, does anyone else have a feeling on that?
I'd say the aggressive timeline helped us move very, very, very much more closer to where we need to be.
I agree that it helped us sharpen our focus towards sort of the direction that we needed to move in the short term. I think that was really helpful, and I second what you said in terms of the vendor having worked not so much directly closely with a vendor like this. It was obviously quite the experience having to deal with the delays.
Yeah, I agree that. Sorry, go ahead, Edif Thinker.
So I was going to say that this was actually a point that I wrote down. So everything from here down and on the left, from everything on the left from tech team down, were all points that I added in. Well, I guess when I say not achievable, it is really to say that there were external factors that got in our way. There were things that we didn't account for because we couldn't account for them. Right. And there was also this idea that we shouldn't launch over the Christmas period because we were going to run into problems, but we tried to do it anyway. And that's fine because the sprint was extremely helpful and it got us to where we are right now, to the point where we can launch now imminently. And we're about to get to the point where once we launch, then we're opening the floodgates, and we're going to have all these different communities who do want to get involved in some way, shape, or form, and we can improve our product as we go. But it was, yeah, the not achievable. What I mean to say by that is we couldn't account for everything because we didn't know half of what we know now.
Yeah, and totally agree with you on that front. And one thing that I'll mention about Bankless Card that is not the true of a VC-backed company is that if we were doing this and we were part of a VC-backed company, these like weeks of delay could mean the death of the organization completely, right? Because everyone is working full time, everyone is like counting on it, and that's more stress. And like, it's not to say that what we did is better in any way. It's just that when delays happened, I think we were able to deal with them with a little bit more grace, let's say, because of the way that our organization is set up. And you know, everyone was putting in a lot of work and hours. And it's true that it would have been great if we could launch when we did, but let's not forget our mantra either, that we're not in a rush. We try to make a progress every week, and I certainly think that we did that over the last couple of months. So yeah. Assumption made about contactless cards means we won't have that feature at launch. Yep. We heard digital cards and we thought that was Apple Pay cards, and it just wasn't the case. I think there was a bunch of things similar with our partner that we were like, oh, is that what that means? So we could have gotten a bit deeper into the nitty gritty there. Last one there. Developing and maintaining community partnerships has been challenging due to not having a product/marketing. Making promises on something we can't deliver sets a bad precedent. Do you want to give a little bit more detail on this, Thinker?
Sure. So when we go out to a community and we say, hey, we're going to be launching this product, and they say, great, what is it? What do you do? We don't specifically always meet I guess it kind of taps into the bottom point as well, like what they think they want versus what they need versus what we're aiming to achieve. And so from a sales perspective, if you try and go out and sell something to a community, but you don't necessarily even know what is possible. Let's use contactless for example. We were under the impression that contactless was going to be an option, and that was an assumption that was made by Lord Elvick, which is fine because it is possible. But what he didn't know was that our partner hadn't included that in our services because they didn't know that we wanted it. So from a sales perspective, I'm going out telling our community, yes, you'll be able to use this with Google Pay and Apple Pay, whereas in reality, you're not. So now that puts a bad taste in the partner's mouth from the get-go, right? We haven't closed the deal. We're already backtracking on features that we're not going to be able to enable. So when we look at developing and maintaining community partnerships, we need to be able to tell them, this is exactly what it does, and this is exactly what you can expect, and we have to be able to deliver on that. If all of a sudden halfway through that partnership agreement, we'd say, actually, we can't deliver on this, or we're going to deliver something similar to what we said, but not exactly what we said, all of a sudden they're saying, well, you are now not what you said you were going to be. Personally, from a sales perspective, I've tried a number of sales jobs before, and I think the only time I ever felt comfortable in a sales job was when I worked at an Apple store. That was because I understand the product very well, and I understand its limitations, and I understand its benefits. So I can say to somebody, okay, yeah, you might be better off buying a Windows computer because you want extreme, you want to be able to modify your computer, or you want to be able to use apps that aren't necessarily geared towards the Apple ecosystem. I felt comfortable in selling those things because I understood what the limitations were. We still don't understand what the limitations of our product are yet compared to what we want to offer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something that we're also figuring out. We're not industry veterans either, so it's definitely something we can improve as we go on. I think as we add more partners too, like we're meeting with Fiat 24 today, for instance. We're really going to have to understand what is available in different regions, because these different regions are going to have different kinds of expectations and different kinds of functionality.
Absolutely.
Design team has been struggling to get shit done due to lack of product feedback, which seems partially due to not having a full scope. I don't know if I agree with this, because the design team is kind of MIA. And Anna got a job. Hazu was moving from like North America to Europe. So in the past 6 weeks, we pretty much haven't had a designer, except for Lawrence, who is kind of like sporadic at best. I do think that we could get more product feedback, certainly. I mean, I think that that's a legit delta, but I don't think that the lack of product feedback I don't think if we had tons of product feedback, we'd have like way more design assets.
Okay.
I mean, anyone else want to give some feedback on this?
Well, since it's quiet and I don't see the Asana board, I have access to that, so I know where we are.
Shoot, I'm not sharing my screen. I should be
No.
sharing my screen right now. Oh, man.
Oh, well, I probably should have mentioned something earlier.
That was a big fuck up. Okay. Here's the
that's okay. My only comment was just on the pod. I don't know where we are on the agenda, but so it's already ready. It's been ready to go for a few weeks now. I just haven't hit the button on publish. But my concern is the intro on it says we're talking about it shipping by the end of the year, and I tongue-in-cheek ask a loaded question and say, are we shipping by the end of the year? You say, yeah. Well, this is January. So I'm wondering, would you like me to record just a little kind of update, like 15-second thing that just says, hey, we had a little bit of a glitch in December, and then just run it? Or do you want to re-record an intro? What would you like to do? Or just leave it as is? I feel like it needs some sort of an update.
I think just like a little 15-second update, like, since this was recorded, X, Y, and Z happened, would be sufficient. I mean, even the interview we did like on Monday with Crypto Sapiens has some information that is now no longer applicable. I think one of the things about us unlocking revenue as well is we were in this really awkward phase where we're like, we want to support communities. We're going to give revenue to communities. But, not until we have $1 million in monthly sales was kind of like, oh, that's a weird, how do you communicate that? That's really hard to communicate. Now, since we have revenue from user one, now we can really lean into that message of supporting communities. And so on Opolis, we were kind of like saying, on Crypto Sapiens, we were kind of saying like, yeah, this phase one of the project, we don't have revenue, and phase two we will. And then, the next day we learned that we're going to be able to have revenue. So there's a lot of things that changed. And ultimately, I think we may as well just ship what we have with the best information that we have, and then try to communicate new things as we go. It's something that we haven't been great at, and it's something I want to get better at. It's something that's in the deltas for us to communicate with our supporters more. But I think you should ship what you have with maybe some up-to-date information.
Okay, cool. I'll do that. And what was I going to say? There were two thoughts I had on that. One is, do you know when Crypto Sapiens plans on releasing their episode? And if you don't, I can touch base with Eureka John. But I was just curious on timing, because I didn't know if you wanted them to release at the same time or correlate there at all, or just ship whenever. So there was that. Guess I'll pause and let you answer that first. What you know on that?
So if you want to talk to Coffee Crusher or Eureka John, you could definitely say.
Okay, I'll do that. And then secondly, in terms of keeping people updated and the communication, the public communication stream through, audio, visual, whatever media we're using. And you mentioned earlier, I forget who mentioned it earlier, doing more interactive stuff. So all I wanted to say on that is that heading into this year, and I should have more time to be able to focus more on some media production. And given the state of affairs with BDAO, and I'm not sure what I'll be doing with the pod as to where that's going to head, if we'll still be highlighting contributors and stuff, or if I'm going to end up doing something more specific to a specific project. So if you guys are looking for some more stuff in that area, I can certainly look at shifting my focus. And as links, and after you guys know, the others probably don't yet, I'm a contributor to BCard, so I am invested in its success. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Any kind of effort you want to put in, we can work on that together to give you some direction as you need. You're one of the people who we know is going to be around, right? So we're definitely feel okay investing our time into Dros to get stuff done.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
All right, and product roadmap is unclear. What are we aiming to achieve? What the market wants? What the market needs? We do have some of this information, and we haven't made it super clear. I think it's also because as we were looking at different providers, they were providing different kinds of functionalities. I think now that we get to the launch point, and as we're looking for, so I mean, first of all, let me +1 this. Absolutely, it's true. But as we get to a point where we're looking for funding and we're looking to take what we have and improve it, this starts to become a lot more doable from a clarity perspective. We do have some data that we can use around this front, and I think that it's something that we, it's not on our website, it's not in any emails that we've sent out. It's really just something that we have for internal use, and most people internally probably haven't seen the data that we have either. Right, and so that's something that we need to make clear internally and externally. So I definitely +1 that. And Thinker, if you're off your phone call, do you want to give a little bit more on this? Oh, maybe not. All right. Any other pluses or deltas? We've kind of gone through NF Thinkers and Coffee Crushers. Any more pluses or deltas that you want to say? Okay, I'll put another plus. I had another plus in just that, like, I think that the fact that we are, I mean, I don't know how to put this exactly, but like, I really feel like we're achieving the vision that we originally set out to do. Like what we were set to launch, it took a long time to get there, but it is not a centralized organization that's doing this. It is, in a lot of ways, the first decentralized card that's coming out. So I really feel strongly that we are achieving the vision for a community card released by a community, which took a long time. I think there's something there that is really something special that you can't say about the Coinbase card or the Binance card. I think one of my deltas as well was product team ended up just being Lynx and Tom, right? Like I think like because of all of the flux at the end of the last year, we lost a lot of people who are interested in product. They still want to contribute in the ways that they can, but they were not able to contribute kind of when we needed them at that time. So, we were able to get something out, but I wouldn't say that it is the best product we could have gotten out if we had some additional hands helping us there. So that's something that we could, which is, I should say, Lynx Tom, mainly development. And so we're kind of lacking some product effort. Hey, Tom, you have something to say?
Yeah, I actually just wanted to sort of give a plus to working closely with you over the last season. I thought that working hand in hand, trying to build the part that we could build and what we worked on together, I had a lot of fun, and I thought that it was cool to work together in a team and do split up the programming tasks like that to move forward as quickly as we could. It felt like we were doing a good job.
Yeah, I think that we worked really well together, and I really appreciated how we were able to kind of split up the tasks, and it ended up being like Tom was doing the skeletons, and I was doing the polishing and all that kind of stuff. So it was really, I think it worked really well.
Yeah, as long as it works at the end of the day, we'll all be happy.
Yep. I think another thing is engaging our supporters more. We could be engaging our supporters more. We didn't send out any updates to them. This is mainly on me, right? Like it was me who really had to send updates to them, and I didn't, because I was dealing with some of these delays, and I was trying to do coding, and I was trying to do some compliance issues, and I just didn't. I didn't really lift my head up and chat with our supporters, and that's something that we could definitely do better, and it's something we will do better this season. Anything else that we want to? I have another delta, actually. I think that is there a way we could be leveraging our community partnerships for pre-launch hype? Maybe it's a good thing we didn't do this because we ended up being late. But ultimately, I do think that our go-to market strategy, or let's say, not plus one, but just for myself, refining our go-to market strategy, that's something we're going to have to figure out, because as we add communities, we really need to understand what it's going to take to make one of those engagements successful. It costs money for us to release another card for a new community. It costs effort for us to do that as well. It's something that we need to really think about carefully. And so we really need to make sure that each community that we're launching with, we're getting the most out of it. Now, that's going to be something that kind of post-launch is going to be more relevant, because it'll actually have a link to drive them to. They'll be able to download and use the card. So that's really important. But I think it's something we could definitely think about over the next couple months. Anything else that... was this from last one? Nope. Okay. Anything else before we get into themes? All right, so some themes that we've had, just feel free to call them out. But let's say contributor funnel, getting people from interest into contribution. So that's a theme I think that we have. Content and communication. Engaging our audiences, both passive, both, like, let's say communities, supporters, contributors. Another theme, let's say, like, product, execution, and strategy. What we build, how we build it. Another theme. And I think, like, sub part of this, need more clarity on what and why. All right. I mean, these feel like the three themes. Anyone else have a theme that is in here that we kind of didn't mention? No? Any other themes anyone wants to bring out? All right, let's talk actions. Some actions to improve. So we have some. I'm not sure who wrote these, but more social content and different types. Creation of a content calendar. Onboarding process. Identify what is needed. We do have an onboarding process, but maybe it's just not as easy as it could be, as good as it could be. Rewards for loyalty program. That'd be ideal to launch. So in general, rewards for loyalty program. I mean, I feel like this is an end of thinker thing, but I think he has a phone call. I think one of the things that, you know what, I have some ideas around rewards, but I'm gonna leave that for another thing. Some form of compensation beyond bank BCard token would be a great signal to team members that their work is highly valued. Absolutely agree on this, and I think that it's something that we could potentially unlock in the next couple of months if we get a way to get funding, and I have some plans around that. I'm going to put in this. This will require some external funding, which is possible with a well-received EOC. Another thing, I think like publishing, let's say product assets, roadmap, long form articles, etc. to multiple places, website, Notion, emails. I think that those product assets, long form, let's say philosophy articles, I think that would really help us on the product side. I also think that having funding for teammates could help get more consistent effort from our team. So it's not just about feeling valued. I mean, I'll say it right now, I do highly value all of the work and effort that people are putting in, but just because we're valuing it doesn't mean that people can do it when they're working to pay for their bills or working to pay for their rent and stuff like that. So being able to get some funding for teammates beyond bank and BCard could help get a more consistent effort from our team. Maybe it wouldn't be that the design team, maybe the design team would be able to spend more time with us on a consistent basis if we were able to pay them, that kind of thing. And not just the design team, this goes for everyone, right? Rainus also mentioned it above. Product execution and strategy. I'm not sure what's the next steps for that. I really think that this publishing product assets is a big one for us that we haven't done. I also think that engaging our supporters / patrons via email and asks, this could lead to additional contribution. I think that we actually have, if you look at our supporter list, we actually have a ton of people who are doing really, like they're doing great things. We could leverage their expertise and knowledge and skills to get some additional work done, additional contribution done at Bankless Card, but we need to figure out how that's going to work. So that's what I have for actions. Anyone else have any actions that they wanted to note down for us? This is an opportunity for us to improve. We don't need to write down all the actions that we'll take here, but it's just a way for us to share what we think. All right. Well, I kind of have to stop now anyways. I have another meeting, but I just want to take a few seconds to say thank you to everyone for contributing over the last 8 months, but not just that, for coming here to this retrospective. It is really, really important for us to share feedback. That is one of our top 3 things in the way we work. Remember, centralized knowledge, decentralized decisions, keep a tight feedback loop. This is part of our feedback loop. So I really want to thank everyone who contributed. I want to thank you all for being here, and those who contributed async. Thank you very much for all your effort. And we're very close, so let's keep at it, and I'll see you around. Thank you all.
Thank you, Lynx. Thanks, everybody.
All the
Thanks,
best.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.